waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. That was your Shakeup scripture reading taken from Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 3. You locked onto the Clean First Song with FM 99.9. Welcome to Shakeup. Remember, Shakeup is an interactive program, so the numbers to call is 457-9997. The numbers to call again, 457-9997. Also, to be interactive, text or call 457-9994. The numbers to call or text again, 457-9994. Today's Shakeup host will be Mr. Burns Bonadie. Please stay tuned.
Well, good morning to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and good morning to our listeners in the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. Welcome again to another edition of the Shakeup program coming to you from the studios of WEFM at Old Fort in L'Occitels. And let me say good morning to our listeners in the diaspora, persons, of course, living in the United States of America, those living in Canada, and those living in the European Union countries and in the United Kingdom. Let me give a special good morning to our students studying in Wales, to our students in Taiwan, and of course, to our students in other countries of the world. And of course, you can't forget that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have the highest student population at the various campuses of the University of the West Indies, after the host country. And that, of course, is the Mona campus in Jamaica, the Cave Hill campus in Barbados, and the St. Augustine campus in Trinidad and Tobago. So we say good morning to our students studying abroad, and they are there, and we have increased our participation in terms of university attendance as a result of the education revolution that is taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Unless you forget, I want to remind you that the United Nations decided that universal secondary education should be available to all countries of the world by 2030. 2030. And with the advent of the Unity Labour Party, the Honorable Prime Minister and government indicated that they can't wait until 2030. And we are not there yet. But in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have universal secondary education. And it is good sometimes to remember where you come from. Because if you want to know where you want to go, you have to know where you came from. And you came from a position where a high percentage of students eligible for secondary education could not get it. The government decided they're not going to wait until 2030. And they went ahead. And I want to refresh the memories of those, the older people, not the younger ones. The younger ones, some of them are not around. When the tirade on different radio stations, and the Honorable Julian Francis, the Minister of Works at the time, decided that in order to maximize the attendance at secondary schools, they will build a board school. And they start making nice board school, as though it's the board that going to teach the children. That was just for the accommodation. And since then, more schools have been built. And we have, in our country, universal secondary education to every student at the age to go into secondary school. I want to just remind you of that. It is not insignificant. It is serious. And of course, coming with that was the cost of recruiting the teachers and the personnel to carry the weight. And we have seen the results at the attendance at the University of the West Indies. And our campus here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there are thousands of Vincentians who are at home but going to the university. And the University of the West Indies decided to expand the campus here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines guaranteed the loan to construct a new campus. You know, that is not insignificant. So the transformation that is taking place in our country goes right back to the philosophy, to the outlook of the government when they came to office, that in order for St. Vincent and the Grenadines to take its rightful place in the world, you have to educate the people. And you know, there are some who were grown up, did not have that opportunity. And I raise it because in our country, people respond to different things differently. And I give you an example. Even in times of inconvenience, as happened a couple of days ago with the rainfalls and so on, and the dislocation over the river, the government had to build 2 Bailey bridges so that traffic could flow and you can get in and out. A couple of days ago, on going back into the north of the country, there was difficulty in the original road. But the Bailey bridges were there, not opened officially, not handed over. And people say, well, what, the Bailey bridges, let me move them, the blockage, and go through. They did that, nothing happened. But the acting Prime Minister informed the nation, and I am not suggesting for one moment that it is because people removed the blockage and drove across. But sometimes wisdom is a good thing to have. But now the bridges are going to be officially opened, but a lot of remedial work needs to be done and will be done. And that is why, for example, you build a house, you build a bridge, you build a hotel, the structure might be there, but that don't mean you're going to just rush in. So I just want to make the point that, and I don't know if it happened, that the person who is in charge, you might have contacted the person and say, is it okay? And so on and so forth. But it's just making the point that that is how we behave here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, our country is being used as an example by other countries of the world. But yet we who live in St. Vincent and the Grenadines do not recognize that. Foreign affairs of this country provided us with a seat on the Security Council of the United Nations. And it wasn't guesswork. It was a question of the government's foreign policy and the relationship established with countries all over the world, that they saw something in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And to get on the United Nations Security Council, the lobbying alone is probably half the budget of St. Vincent and the Grenadines by other countries, larger countries. They spend millions of dollars to get on the Security Council. But when in competition for the seat with countries that have much more resources than we have, we garnered the most votes, a record number. It tells you something, regardless of your political identification. You are from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that in itself should make you, as a citizen of this country, feel proud. But you can't feel proud without giving the government of the day the credit. And that is where we fall down in our own country. We had serious implications economically as a result of the volcanic eruption in our country. And I believe that all Vincentians, some with tongue in cheek, will give the government a passing grade in the way they handled the volcanic eruption and the fallout from that. It destroyed our agriculture in the north of the country and in some other areas. There's a war going on in Ukraine, which is the country that supplies the most fertilizer in the world. And as a result of that, a lot of farmers in other countries of the world suffering. Drought taking place. What you see in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Foreign policy. Provided farmers in this country with fertilizer free, euro free, as a result of the foreign policy of the administration. And again, countries that we are not too familiar with, when we hear them, hear the names, some people ask, where this country is? Where is this country? So, the Kingdom of Morocco will be donating 160 tons of fertilizer to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A donation. A donation. The Morocco Agency for International Cooperation, which acts on behalf of the Kingdom of Morocco. Okay? Based on the agreement with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we'll be donating 160 tons of fertilizer. It is expected to arrive in St. Vincent, if it's not already here, shortly. The expected date would have been the 2nd of May. And the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines did not rest on their laurels. The Honorable Prime Minister is in Brussels today. In Brussels. And you know, that's where the seat of the European community is located in Brussels. We have people in Brussels from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The other countries of the region have people in Brussels, because that's a very important place to make sure that you have your nationals there working. And I can speak with force and knowledge of the importance of the meetings held in Brussels. I attended a lot of those meetings in my capacity as representative of a non-governmental agency when I was the Secretary General of the Caribbean Congress of Labour. And I would often meet Renwick Rose, Ken Boy, who came in a different capacity from what they call the private sector, to sit down with the European community to get for this country and for other countries in the region developmental aid and assistance that would go outside of the government of the various territories that were once colonies of the European countries. So I want to reiterate and reinforce the point. I have also attended meetings in Brussels. Let me take this call. Good morning, Shakeup.
Mr. Bonadie.
Yes, could you please turn your radio down, please? Wow, the feedback is terrible.
Mr. Bonadie.
Uh-huh.
It's the first time I call in and Shakeup. You remember when I told you I work and they never give me
A letter of appointment.
12 days. Eh?
Yeah, I remember that. And I reported it to the permanent secretary. Yes.
And Mr. Bonadie, I work hard on a place.
Well, I know you work hard. You had to tell me that. I know you work hard.
People go and come and meet me there. I go to 14 places. I want to know why they not recognize me, because in the COVID time I walk. When people don't want to go to work, I walk.
My understanding, hey, listen to me. My understanding is you will be appointed.
And
I will tell you the permanent.
Never too old to
hold on.
Walk.
Yeah, but
listen. And when everybody asks me,
I hear what you're saying. Remember, I know the matter. Remember, I know the case.
Eh?
The permanent secretary is on vacation. It will be done. You don't worry your head with that. I will see that it is done.
Mr. Bombi, they never too old for work. Oh God, man, they should give me something. I really, now even though if you don't, your age continue to me, so you never too old for work. I mean, just work hard. Only a month and me have to sit down home and all that kind of thing. People come, you give them contract, they resign, they retire, they work and they get contract and all kind of thing. At least, oh God, me vote for them all the time.
I want to hear all that I know. I will deal with your matter. I understand your problem. I understand it. So I can deal with it. You just spoke to me recently. So I will. Okay, so I can deal with it. I tell you already, I don't want to disclose on the air. So I will deal with it. All right. I will deal with it, my dear. You don't worry about that. I will deal with it.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, that's one of the problems you have. Question of addressing the anomalies with people working in government institutions. I deal with that all the time. All the time, you know? So, these things happen in all the countries of the region. Every country. But, getting back to the point that in our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have a lot of phrases we use here. when you grow up in St. Vincent, you know all the little phrases and the cliches and the things people say, you know? And in a one-on-one or in group conversations with people, you will use them. And we in our country know what you mean when you use those words. But you see, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our people will have to understand that everything hinges in our country in its developmental thrust by making it a safe place. If we want to deal with tourism, if we want to deal with investment, whether it be in hotels or in other businesses in our country, the country have to be safe. And yes, we have a problem with the shootings, the murders taking place in our country. And sometimes, as recently, it's one family got to go through the pain and the suffering. And when I say one family, people connected to one another. Brother, uncle, and so on and so forth. And the level that we have attained in terms of what we have to face as a nation, the dismemberment of people and so on, unheard of in our country over the years. Unheard of. Even when St. Vincent was tougher. But you know, we use the cliches, it takes a village to raise a child. A village. That is how it used to be. You were proud to say you were from so-and-so because everybody was looking out for one another. And you don't have to wait on your parents to scold you. Your neighbors will scold you. But now, in this new dispensation, the way you grow up in a neighborhood, in a village, you disengage from the people around you. And you know, the Calypsonians of years ago used to send that message loud and clear. But as a result of a lot of distractions, I saw where 2 days ago in the Bahamas, and I want to reiterate the point I made, that the Bahamas was one of the countries that called for the meeting to deal with the spate of killings taking place in the Caribbean, because they were reeling and they depend on tourism more than we do. And the chairman of CARICOM, who is now from the Bahamas, the meeting was held in Trinidad and Tobago. And you will recall the Honorable Prime Minister went, all the Prime Ministers spoke, because it is something that is affecting every single nation in the Eastern Caribbean. Not only St. Vincent and the Grenadines, all. And it came at a time when we had to send reinforcements from the regional security system to help St. Lucia, our neighbor. You take a speedboat and you reach St. Lucia before Jiffy. Fishermen go between both islands. Viewport to Sandy Bay. You reach there in no time. But we had to send reinforcements. And it is not the first time, because it happened already, where we got assistance from the regional security system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the idea being is to make the place safer for everybody. Make it safer. So 2 days ago, 2 men who were in prison for murder, they gave them bail in the Bahamas. And they didn't last 2 days in the new freedom which they enjoyed. Not 2 days. They were gunned down minutes apart at different locations. I am mentioning that because we have people in this country that if and when things of that nature happen here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they blame the police, they blame the government, they blame whoever. They point fingers, and the finger ain't pointing at themselves, they're pointing at other people. And I listened to the Commissioner of Police, to the investigating officer, and the press people ask them questions. And very simple. So this thing just happened. You have to investigate. They say, you think it connected? You say, well, obviously you could believe that there's a connection. And that's it. We are carrying out our investigation. But here now, if the police said that, you will hear all sort of crosstalk. If they said those exact words. And we so like to go on Facebook that a man is gunned down in Georgetown. And people are talking because the camera recording. Somebody say, when you call the police now? Call the police. See, that's how we behave here. We ain't calling the police. Somebody else do the job. You call the police. Well, we know everybody have phone. We have the highest proportion of phone per population in any of the small countries of the Caribbean, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. More phones, more cell phones are here than in any of the Eastern Caribbean countries. Right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we know. But they the boys and say, they come over and the tape. Somebody call the police. I ain't calling them. Somebody do it. Somebody else. One boy say, he ain't dead. Call the police. You know, that gives you a picture of what takes place when these things happen. The last shooter, the last person that died, home we live. No. You think the police could have stopped that? I just put the question out there. Think the police could have stopped that shooting? So it means that somebody, they go home. And my understanding is that another relative was also killed and probably buried just a couple of days before. But we behave like that. You ain't calling the police. Somebody else must do the calling. And then 9 out of 10 times, the people who say those things are the ones who have the most mouth to castigate the police. You know? And the police will do the investigation, and hopefully the people in the various communities, wherever you are, will cooperate and give the police the information, give it anonymously. Police can't go expose your name. You were there, they interview you, tell them what you see, or tell them what you hear. If there was any words or communication between both parties involved, the shooter and the one who expired. Because this is our country. And the Caribs, the indigenous people, we are known worldwide. Those of us who believe in this country tell people, you know what I mean? St. Vincent and the Grenadines are home of the blessed. Home of the blessed. Home, the country. And we say so. We tell people that. When you pick up the newspaper on a weekend, see how that fit in. See how what we're supposed to be fit in to what you're reading. And you know, in our country, a lot of persons who made good contributions in the last couple of weeks have died. And we want to, me personally, express my own condolences to the families of those people. Because those are people who had St. Vincent and the Grenadines at heart and wanted to see things done correctly and wanted to see progress in our country and made their contribution by calling in on radio stations and making intelligent sense. And I want to pay special tribute to my friend Desmond Dapio, who passed away. And in his earlier life, helped and assisted a lot of people who needed his assistance when he worked in the banking system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You know, so our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is a good country. It's a great country. We take this call. Good morning, you and Shakeup.
Hello, Mr. Bonadie, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Morning.
You didn't get back any reply from Tongbone?
I didn't get back any reply, but what I have to do is to carry you there myself. That's what they told me. So you and I have to go in and speak to them.
Like when?
Well, you tell me when you're available.
Any day you're ready, you're quite available.
All right. So pass, don't mind me.
Hello?
Pass by the office and we'll go.
Yeah, and the other thing now, you didn't get through that. Hello?
You can't put all the things on the radio, no man.
No, but just
Well,
you just said just said no. Yes.
No. You come by me tomorrow.
Okay, well, that's what you're talking. You're just asking, so I didn't know yet that you will reply. You have to say
Yeah. Come by me tomorrow. Remember, you were supposed to go up to see the man up the road. Then. You know what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So what time to come by you tomorrow?
Come by me tomorrow anytime after 10.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, all right. Very good. Okay. You know, the Honorable Prime Minister is in Brussels. And from there, he'll be going to attend the coronation of Charles III and his wife, as King and Queen of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth realm. And there are a lot of people in a lot of the Commonwealth countries that have their own views in relation to the monarchy and so on and so forth. But you see, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the people had an opportunity to move from under the monarchy. And they went into a referendum. And the majority of persons in this country said they're staying with the Queen at the time. So, the opposition party in the country carried out a stiff campaign that they don't want to leave the Queen. And the former Prime Minister, Sir James Mitchell, even took to task some of the persons within the party he created who wanted to support the government of the day at the time in its quest to remove the Queen as head of state. But we in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, oblivious to history, we talk now, oh, Barbados get rid of the Queen. Jamaica said they're going to get rid of the monarchy. Jamaica said they're going to get rid of the monarchy. But in our country, you can't say nothing now. You can't say anything now because your opposition to the getting rid of the monarchy, you have not changed. And I recall the strong words of Sir James Mitchell when he addressed these words to a member of his party, the Honorable Sinclair Leacock. So I don't want you to forget those things. So we hear people who criticize the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister led the charge, coming back from the days of Renwick Rose and so on, for reparations. For reparation. In the Black Power days. Good morning, you're on Shakeup.
Mr. Bonadie,
Yes, sir.
tell me something now. When the inquiry with the Atlee Hall, who did a pay to for don't go in the courthouse, not to the inquiry, not England?
When what?
The inquiry with Atlee Hall.
Yes.
Who did a pay to England?
No, the Otley Hall inquiry was in relation to England gave them they got some debt relief.
Okay.
But it was more from the Italian government.
Okay, good. I mean that part. The part who I'm speaking about. He was to go in the inquiry will take place at
Oh,
the
no. You're talking about with the matter that Sir James took to the Privy Council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So he took his matter to the Privy Council and he won his case. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm telling you now, you remember one time he did tell Leacock, remember, don't touch my Privy Council at all.
No, it's not the Privy Council, it's the monarchy. The monarchy. Yeah, the monarchy.
Well, all right.
Yeah,
well,
but it's a different, the Privy Council. Remember, the governments of the Caribbean set up the Caribbean Court of Justice to replace the Privy Council. You understand? Okay. To replace the Privy Council. Yeah, that is how that happened. All right, my friend. Listen, the Caribbean Court of Justice was established during the period of the New Democratic Party. And when the Honorable Adam Eustace came in as Prime Minister, we did not, as it were, sign on to the CCJ. Because, again, you probably have to go for a referendum, except you have your 2/3 majority in a parliament. So Dominica, Barbados, some of the countries signed on to the CCJ, Guyana, as they replaced, the CCJ replaced the Privy Council. So the Privy Council, based on, I believe, maybe the philosophy of the party, I don't know what is the new thinking of Dr. Friday in relation to the Privy Council, but I don't think it's any different than what Sir James would have been saying. I don't think so. They don't have any other view that they will go to the CCJ. And coincidentally, the head of the CCJ was one of the very people who had been very active in this country during the Black Power days. He was one of the men with Renwick Rose, with Joe Thomas, with Jim Maloney, with Casper London, all these people. He was one of them who saw the future of St. Vincent and the Grenadines going in a different direction. Today, he's the head of the CCJ. And a lot of countries who go to the CCJ get redress. When they have a problem between country and country and so on, you carry your matters there. And he's doing a wonderful job. A wonderful job. But sometimes, when you look back, there are people who might not have fulfilled what they want to do. And they try everything. And they ain't get in the comfort zone yet. And one asks the question. There are people today criticizing Renwick Rose. Renwick Rose still pens articles in the newspapers. But he has not changed. Renwick Rose is Renwick Rose. And he says and writes what he believes. And he not believe in something today and tomorrow shift. He consistent. But he justifies as we modernize in this country. He still gives his message out there to the people. All right, let me take this call. Good morning.
Yeah, Bones.
Yes, good morning, my friend.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you.
I like the conversation you're on. We need more of that, Mr. Bones, because when the opposition come up with the referendum, the people in St. Vincent didn't aware of what's going on. Because as a little boy in Trinidad, when they talk about the going for republic, you understand? The whole country, Trinidad and Tobago, they're aware. Because we move away from the but we still under the Commonwealth. So I want men like you, when time comes, we're not gonna leave it, because everybody would join from the monarchy to have their own court and so on. So I want when time comes, 2025, 26, we must go through that, because some people self-claim and by both fields, because after Barbados get republic, them coming in the house and congratulate it. And we were forced. You understand? Now Jamaica set up something, 2025, they're about to got it. So what happened with Vincent John? You understand? So these are things that you have to start to educate the people, the younger generation, when they're going to republic, because here Trinidad, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the independence of Trinidad and Tobago. So if you feel them saying, some of them they say, I don't know, they're so lackadaisical, they don't understand. They have to read that, understand and follow what you're talking about. Republic, you could govern your own affairs, but when time comes, you have a Queen Council to go to. But they can't direct X, Y, and Z, because you've got an independent country, a republic country. So the people need to treat them like how you bring in parliament, tell them this is X, Y, and Z, in case today or tomorrow, take a page out of them. Say, what are they today? We're able to run St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because all they went to university to study. You understand? So they don't take care, send them, say, read, and do like the Prime Minister. we have political science. So, yes, it's a scientist. That's my contribution, brother.
All right, my
Come on,
brother.
come on.
Thank you very much indeed for your call. So the Honorable Prime Minister will be going to the coronation of Charles III. And I want to remind you, as Vincentians, that Prince Charles came here to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And during his visit to our country, the Honorable Prime Minister had a private discourse with him. And as a result, we have about almost 50 students now studying at the Wales in the United Kingdom. As a result, so we know who live in this country. We know who know Ralph Gonsalves. That every opportunity he gets, he try to do something for the people. Students go now on scholarships to Wales. And you know, we celebrated the life of a great man who passed away here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines just a couple of weeks ago. Dr. Cyrus. He was my neighbor. And in those days, in his day, as a student, he went to the mother country. That is how we used to call it in those days. And he did medicine. And came back home to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And every nation in the Caribbean, every independent country in the Caribbean, paid tribute and recognized that this Vincentian man who had gone away to study, got his profession, came back home, came back into our country and did work in the region. We just celebrated his life and times here in our country. Those people who are up there now, they're going to come back. Some of them might go to other places, but that's not the point. The point is that Dr. Gonsalves did not miss the opportunity during the visit of Prince Charles, who is now going to become king. So I got all these students in the country and so on. Remember, you know who the students are, you know, but you know they're there. And then you give the opportunity, people apply. I know one lady who got through, and 2 or 3 days before she was ready to leave, she fell sick and had to be hospitalized. And missed the opportunity of going to the University of Wales. So, we don't know, we can't predict, we can't see into the future. But a lot of those students who have gone will come back to our country and make their contribution, if not in St. Vincent, in the region. If not in the region, abroad, outside of the region. That is how it is with education. So, the Honorable Prime Minister will be going to the coronation. And I will tell you something. As a member of the Commonwealth, you invite all the Commonwealth people to go, to come. Because you're a member of the Commonwealth. Good morning, you and Shakeup.
Hold on a while, Mr. Bonadie.
Yes.
I'm trying to find out something historically when I'm studying this whole situation with this Commonwealth and so.
Yeah.
Is for those persons who are members of the Commonwealth, if they are a republic, they still get invited to the coronation?
Yes, because
Barbados, for instance, declared itself a republic. Are they invited?
yes, Trinidad and Tobago is also a republic.
I see.
Guyana, you understand? But they are within the Commonwealth.
They're within the Commonwealth.
Yes, because you remember when Trinidad and Tobago turned republic, so to speak, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. One of the first visits Dr. William made was to India. Make a visit to another
Probably
country.
all of them are going up to the coronation Saturday.
Well, it's whether or not you want to accept the invitation to go.
Well, I going for I want royalist to my backbone.
Well, you see, once you accept the invitation, you and it's a matter of course that if you're going to be in the king of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, you can invite all the people who lead in the Commonwealth countries. You will of course invite. I suspect you will also invite the governor generals and so on to attend if they want to.
Half the Africa, if not almost the entire African continent, belongs to members of the Commonwealth.
Yes, that is quite true.
Plenty of them, and then you have
Samoa,
sometimes Bahamas, Grenada,
I will tell you.
Papua New Guinea, all of them.
I will tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
There was a meeting of the Commonwealth when there was a problem in the Gambia. Not Gambia, the Gambia.
The Gambia.
Yes. And I think, subject to my memory, it was held somewhere must in New Zealand or someplace, another Commonwealth country.
Mm.
And Jama, who was the head of the delegation, was sort of ostracized in the conference.
Oh.
People, you will have Margaret Thatcher. She was there, and you had I think the Gambian Kaun together, so to speak, because they're accustomed to one another. But this new man now coming, no friend, and he have problems. You understand?
Oh,
and I related this story now as told to me by Sir James Mitchell, that he said to Kawunda, he said, listen, we got to help out our fellow Commonwealth member who seem not to be not mingling. And you would recall that the Prime Minister invited him to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He came here.
Yeah, I remember when he came here.
Yes, he invited him to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And
he bought a picture from somebody. Everybody said, yeah, the right to hold the money for.
Yeah, well, that is true. Yes, you're quite right. You're quite right. You're quite right. And what happened was that he had a measure of assistance being given to the country as a result of the rapprochement which they had. And one of our Vincentian people, right here, living here now, was sent to the Gambia by the United Nations.
Yeah.
What do I tell you? To head up.
For the history. South Africa was a member, and then they became a republic, and they withdrew the membership, but they reapplied. But the Commonwealth did not allow it because they say they had a policy of apartheid. That was in 19.
Well, you see, you just
but they reapplied and became a member once again in 1994.
But you see,
after they gave up,
you just tickling my fancy now with what you're saying. Let me give you this story before I take a break. When I was the Consul General in Canada, there was a cricket match. The West Indies versus the rest of the world. And that match was being held at the Sky Dome in Canada under the auspices of the CARICOM Consul Generals. You hear me?
Mm.
At the time, we had, what do you call this man, Paka. People were going to South Africa to, what do you used to call them, the rebel cricketers. the governments of the Caribbean took a decision at CARICOM level that they will have no sporting contacts with South Africa. So they now having this big match, the West Indies versus the rest of the world. So I am the dean of the Council of Co in Canada. So I say, listen, we ain't participating. You can't put our name to that because the governments of the day took a decision, the CARICOM governments, no sporting contact with South Africa, but they had South Africans and the rest of the world team.
I see.
You hear what I tell you? And we withdrew. I had opposition. I had opposition from the Jamaican Consul General. I say, you opposing? I said, the Prime Minister of Jamaica is one of the architects of the resolution, no sporting contacts. You hear me?
I am looking forward to seeing that parade, boy. Don't tell last night they were practicing in London, you know. After I was looking at the TV at 11 o'clock. After midnight, all them practicing in London, up and down. If you see the soldiers in full dress uniform, you know.
Yes,
last night after they practiced in the middle of the night. Can't wait to see that pomp and pageantry. I really like it. I go on, Mr. Bonadie.
All right, thank you very much for your call. We'll take a break and then I'll be right back.
WEFM 99.9.
Right off the Leeward Highway on the Old Bookama Road is where you would find Pinchers Transport and Blocks and Hardware, a one-stop shop for all your building and construction needs, from foundation to roof. They offer building materials, sand, Radica, cement and stone, 4, 6 and 8-inch blocks, backhoe rental and trucking service. Their hardware section offers electrical and plumbing fittings, carpentry and farming tools and materials, automotive and repair, home care cleaning and DIY repairs, all under one roof. Call 458-7591 or 533-1576. Visit Mondays to Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Sundays 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pinchers Transport Blocks and Hardware, where quality meets price. No project too small. Here to serve you.
Alan Smith and Family Bakery, the worldwide name for all your bakery needs, specializing in wedding cakes, birthday cakes, the world famous hard dough and light dough, multi-grain by special order, and now available baguette bread at all your leading supermarket outlets. And for that sweet tooth, currant rolls, jam buns, homemade sweet bread, guava and apple tarts, butter and oatmeal cookies, and for your savory needs, beef and chicken patties. Alan Smith and Family Bakery supplies bread to the Grenadines, Leeward and Woodward side of the island. Contact us at alansmithfamilybakery@gmail.com. Call us 457-8317, 457-8550, or 533-0943. Located along the main road in Camden Park Industrial Estate, we are the healthy choice. All our products are made with 0 grams trans fat ingredients. Quality is our passion. We open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Sundays and public holidays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you for your patronage over the years and for your continued support in the years ahead.
Content creators, you live in content heaven. This is your chance to adrift in paradise, dive into adventure, or savor the flavors of our 32 islands and keys. Enter the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, Our Islands, Our Vibes Content Creators Competition from May to November 2023. Create a series of videos showcasing Our Islands, Our Vibes. Grand prize, a weekend stay at Palm Island Resort along with $500 cash. Second prize, a smart device from Digicel. Third prize, $500 cash. You'll receive Prime bundles during the competition, plus have a chance to win monthly prizes. Register by Friday, 28th April. Visit @Tourism SVG on Facebook or @Vinci Tourism on IG or call 457-1502 for more info.
Tourism is everyone's business. Yeah. Live it, love it, embrace it. I was looking for a cough syrup, looking for a drug to to help this pain here in my throat. I needed something fast to help me with my cold. Then I turned around and there you go. I went into the store and I found what I needed when I shouted superhelp.
Super Help Pharmacy. We're located on Grenville Street, formerly Isles Boutique. Come in and check out our wide variety of over-the-counter prescriptions, medications, personal care products, and much more. Take advantage of our free delivery services, blood pressure, sugar, and cholesterol testing. Open Mondays to Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Fridays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call or WhatsApp us at 497-8737 or 457-8737. Super Health Pharmacy. Your health is our priority.
And I found what I needed when I shouted superhelp.
Standard Shippers Incorporated, a wealth of experience in the world of air or ocean freight. Your first choice for those critical packaging, crating, and shipping jobs. Standard Shippers Incorporated, providing you with a variety of services, including the purchasing of electrical appliances. And now, Standard Shippers is proud to announce the expansion of its services. That's right, introducing the Standard Shippers Miami Incorporated. Now you can take advantage of the many services available through Standard Shippers. Now at 2 locations, New York and Miami, Florida, with personal or commercial freight pickups and packaging of containers, air cargo services, and much, much more. Call Standard Shippers New York at telephone number 718-469-8377 or fax 718-462-1450. Or call Standard Shippers Miami at 305-653-8943 or 305-542-2310 or fax 305-653-1285 or their local number 784-457-2320. Standard Shippers Incorporated. Safe, reliable, and economical. Always putting you first.
99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SGG.
Okay, welcome back to the Shakeup program. And you know, as all Vincentians know, we're going to be celebrating Carnival this year. And the bands are all geared to go. But I saw a post by one of our renowned band leaders who decided he was not going to participate this year in Carnival, but intended to come next year. And let me take this call. Good morning, you on Shakeup.
Hello, good morning, Sobi. I just wanted to tell you, the thing is, and the subject of the Commonwealth, right?
Yeah.
Before Africa, India and all them countries had the independence, it was the British Commonwealth. It's Kwame Nkrumah, the African nationalist. When he get independent, he said, well, you know, they make it British, you know, and they have a whole set of British people, so we will rename this thing the Commonwealth of Nations. So that these English-speaking countries will come together as a political bloc in the United Nations. So they could bring pressure. They even open the Queen and England to bring pressure on South Africa. But for Nelson Mandela freedom, you know what I mean? So there's a distinction between the British Commonwealth and the Commonwealth of Nations. So you could be a republic and be a member of the Commonwealth because of your British English tradition. You follow me, my brother Bon?
No, I know what you're talking about. The point I'm making, the question the lady asked is whether or not, if you're a republic, you could belong to the Commonwealth. The question is yes.
Yes, because all the British make me English. And it's the same Kwame and Nkrumah people break up from England, so we must form the Commonwealth of Nations. Not the British Commonwealth before when they had the British Commonwealth the control. After independence, it was strategic thinking to recognize well this the whole set of English people to reform the Commonwealth of Nations and also in it are British people who opposing who are Republican. You see the richest partner, the great Batman Bottom, one of the greatest cricketer in England. By the time he gets a chance to talk, he will be opposing the monarchy. You understand?
Well, the problem.
Okay, my brother. So,
yeah, I was going to make the problem. Remember, a lot of the countries of Europe had colonized a lot of the countries in Africa and so on. And even down here, you understand? The difference between what happened, for example, in Martinique and Guadeloupe, they are departments of France. We were colonies of Britain. You understand? Cayenne. Remember you had French Guyana, Dutch Guyana, and English Guyana. 3 Guyanas you had, they divided up in three bits. As a matter of fact, the European Space Station is now located in Cayenne, which is French Guyana. Yeah, all right. Thank you for your call. So, so he not playing Carnival this year. He not bringing his band. And somebody went into where he had all his equipment and all his things stored. And they make a raid. They take all the material, all the plywood, all the stuff he had inside there. And what I disagree with him about is that he say he ain't calling the police. He ain't calling the police. But he's showing all the things the people that missing. But he gonna take the law into his hands. So I gonna give him my advice publicly. Don't do that. Don't do that. Still tell the police. And they're gonna wait for the perpetrator to come back. Because if you're gonna have a free day, you go through expense, you lock back up your place, you put on new locks on your door and so on. But because it's not being utilized, they will come back. But call the police. Good morning, you Shakeup.
Hello, my buddy.
My friend, good morning, man. Yes.
How you doing?
Well, I thought you might be leaving to go up to the good old country. yes, my friend. Yeah.
I'm here following the program, right? And a bit of cricketing involved here.
Yes.
When South Africa was banned from sporting activities, right?
Yes.
I remember England cricket team was supposed to tour South Africa for the test series. It so happened Basil D'Oliveira, who was a South African. I don't know if you know the story about this.
I know Basil D'Oliveira, yes.
Right. Now, he was South African, okay? But he was a black man. He played for England.
Yes.
He made 158 against Australia, okay? While the team was being selected to travel to South Africa. All the media, the newspaper, everything, what he said, D'Oliveira should be inclusive in the selection to go to South Africa.
You drop
but
him.
The England selectors decided not to put him in. It so happened that Tom Cartwright, who was the all-rounder of the England cricket team, he was named to travel, but he fell ill, and then they brought in D'Oliveira to replace him. And because of that, the tour was cancelled to South Africa. I don't know if you knew that story.
No, well, I remember D'Oliveira. He was South African playing in England.
Yeah,
but
he
remember,
passed away now anyway. He died now.
You couldn't play.
But, he played for England at the time.
Yeah.
And England decided, they were clever. Well, when I say clever, they thought they were clever by leaving him out of the team to go to South Africa.
Well, yeah, because you remember blacks and whites couldn't.
Right. Okay, then. They cry shame. I mean, all the media in England, they cry shame of the selectors and so on. Then Tom Cartwright, who they picked as the all-rounder, he fell ill, and then they brought in D'Oliveira. And when they brought him in, I think the South Africans say, oh, no black man shouldn't be coming to play something to the
Well, remember, you could have mixed sports. Yeah. Well, that was the point I was making in relation to.
Yes, I'm following you quite well, man.
Yeah. So
Everything all right?
yes, man, everything is fine. So you take care, my brother.
Yes, brother, all the best, my
Okay.
man. Man, we can catch up and talk to our best.
It's true. It's true.
Lemonade.
Yes. All right, you take care. You know, so sometimes you have to have some consistency in what you believe in. We had a lieutenant governor in Canada. When I say we, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. His father was from Stubbs. And he was made the lieutenant governor because their system of government is that you have a governor general and you have provinces. And each province is represented by the Queen's representative, who is called a lieutenant governor. So you have the governor general at the top. He's the governor general for the whole of Canada. And every province have their own lieutenant governor. So as usual, the lieutenant governor will, like the governor general here, when you pass your laws, you do your things and so on, he will sign. And in the city, in the capital, the lieutenant governor, based in Toronto, was the son of a Vincentian, Lincoln Alexander. He was a former member of the Parliament of Canada, the federal parliament. And he was the lieutenant governor. He invited me for dinner with the same team that came up to play. And I called him as my good friend because we had made friends. As a matter of fact, I got him to visit St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He had never come to St. Vincent's father's birthplace. And I called him and I said to him, I cannot come to sup with anybody from South Africa because the governments in the Caribbean, no contact. So he told me, okay, I will invite you when I'm hosting the Australians, I am hosting New Zealand, because he would host these countries. Because he's the lieutenant governor and he was trying to do something, but the South African people were there. They were the ones who he was hosting. So I told him that. He was not offended. Because I could have gone and play quiet, sit down inside me. No, the governments took a position. I am the representative of the government. I ain't going against that. And the point I want to make is that you have to be consistent. People who don't know you could say all kind of thing about you, you know. Why no? I was invited to address the 60th anniversary of the Barbados Labour Party conference, 60 years. And in that address, I said that I condemned the Barbadians who went to South Africa to play, even though the government's position was no sporting contacts. They used to call them the rebels. That's what they call them. I was not afraid to say so at that conference. The Prime Minister at the time was the Honorable Tom Adams. So you can't be saying one thing today and tomorrow you shift. You can't, if you, for example, we believe in this country that we need some reparation. The University of the West Indies receiving money from people who had plantations and estates in the Caribbean. The Vatican returning artifacts to Canada. So everybody coming around now to repatriate things that they took from your country. Because the pressure is on. There's a different dispensation we're operating in today. Different dispensation. And people grew up in our countries. You know, my mother told me, And for purposes of people who don't know, I will repeat it here. My grandfather on my mother's side was head teacher in Beckwith. So James Mitchell, grandfather, asked the Ministry of Education to send him down to Beckwith because he had been getting good results in schools on the leeward side or wherever he went. A good head teacher. So my mother born in Beckwith. She was born down there. Well, he was down there as head teacher. But he was the first head teacher to go to Dorchester Hill School when they opened the school. He was the head teacher, first head teacher. So the first prime minister, who is my mother's brother, they went to Dorchester Hill School. And in those days, this is the story she's telling me. In those days, you celebrated what they call Empire Day, which was a big celebration in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where you marched from the school to Victoria Park. Every student had a flag. Every school attended. You wave your flag. And she said to me that about 6 other friends that grew up and went to school with them, including one man from Sinel named Dudley Clark. And they would march down, come down to from Dorchester Hill and go to Victoria Park waving the flags on Empire Day. You hear me? Empire Day. All the school children would celebrate that day here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But the point I want to make was that you could have counted the number, and I put it this way, black people on your 2 hands. Say that Milton Cato, Dudley Clark, my mother, her other brother, who've been going to school at Dorchester Hill. And all the other people were descendants of the Scotch people and the Barbadians who came here with relations to people in Scotland. And we developed a name in this country. You used to call them Dorchester Hill Bajans. You hear me? And today, in our country, when you hear people for their own purposes want to bring in race and so on to identify with a certain clique, they don't know the history of this country. Dorchester Hill School, a lot of them did not have the opportunity to go to university or even to go to secondary school. Some people excel and they move abroad. But in our country, the biggest investors in the mercantile industry come from Dorchester Hill. And all of them, everyone, had been tutored by the headmaster of that school, my mother's father. C.K. Graves, P.H. Vera, up there they come from. You hear me? So, in our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we could teach a lot to other countries of the region. And in some, of course, there's still the monarchy. They will support you politically and they would vote to get rid of the Queen. But there is a move now, for example, and we living in a different era. Why change the name? Change Queen Drive. You want a Queen. But they're doing it in a way, you understand, to bring division. You's doing it. You ask the people up there, who are the indigenous people to the area. And you're not pursuing what you're doing with the same vigor in Beckway. Because you singing from the same song sheet now like Friday. Tell you change the name in Beckway too. Because the Queen dead. Tell you do that. You ain't saying so in the same breath the way you're saying for Queen Drive. But that's just Queen Drive over the name Port Elizabeth. I don't even get the point I'm trying to make. You have to be consistent. So you have to convince now the man you feel is better than Ralph Gonsalves. To put that on the front burner, to be consistent with your own philosophy. I'm talking now to all the advisors who all of a sudden get blessed with a special dispensation that they seem not to have possessed sometime before. But you know, that's how life is. That's how life is. The Queen came here and went to see the place that was named after her before she became Queen. She was princess, but she went down there to the port, the harbor, the tongue. That was named after her. And the former Prime Minister, every head of state that came here, he made sure he carried them down there. Kawunda went down there, Jama, Her Majesty the Queen, down there. Because that was the affinity. He studied in England, studied in Canada. Leaders from other countries of the world would vacation in the Grenadines. Whether you're from Malaysia, whether you're from Canada, whether you're from Britain, they go down in the Grenadines. So we have to decide whether we want to support changing with the times, or whether we want to cause division in our country. We have a lot to do. A lot of work is being done in this country. I heard the Honorable Acting Prime Minister making a point in relation to the dredging that is taking place. I read the papers like everybody else. You know, I have a different method, the way I operate. I live long enough to see in different countries things that happen and people's position change when they have information. And you have people criticizing the dredging out in the countryside, the Argyle Airport side, shipping bay side, to bring the sun down to the new port. But the government's position, the people who run in the show, did a study. And the study, in a sense, based on what is the information, give them the green light. You can go ahead. You're not going to have no big disruption. But there are others who have knowledge and who understand land degradation and those things, who criticize. And for good reason. But I am saying, it's my take now. If you have the information that give you the green light, you're talking not to stupid people, but you're talking to people who understand and who have given their life to making sure that we preserve what is good in the environment. Get them out, let us see the study. It's not top secret. We took into consideration what you said, and we say, look, we have to get people who are knowledgeable, who will tell us whether or not what you are saying is going to happen. And the people carry out, basically, this is what they said, carry out their thing. So I say, share it. Share it with the people. Because unnecessary criticism, if there's no basis for it, should not preoccupy our time. But we're living in a different world now, a different environment, different people making contributions now as against the past. So, for example, we had a reclamation that took place in the days of the Federation when they built the first deepwater harbor in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Then you had the expansion where you created acres of land that did not exist. Seawater used to be on Bay Street when you had rough seas. Milton Cato reclaimed 20-something acres of land. Some people were criticizing. And I mean, it's a joke now when you look back, because at one time, even in the realm of politics, they said they hit a vein. And as a result of hitting the vein, the volcano erupted. That is what was said here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And people believe it, swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. When there was no truth to that. So, what I am hearing today, I'm not equating it with what happened in those days, but I am saying you have the information, share it with the people who have concern. And my take. So we can break for the headline news.
It's 12 p.m. here in Simmons and Grenadines, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. You're locked on to the Queen First Song WEFM 99.9, and it's time for Midday News Headline, sponsored by St. Vincent Distillers Limited.
Welcome to WEFM's Midday News Headlines, coming to you with the kind compliments of St. Vincent Distillers Limited.
Sparrows, rum of pure sophistication. Sparrows, rum, aged to perfection. Skillfully crafted and forged with time in oak barrels. A rum so divine. Discover authentic Caribbean rum. Sparrows, premium rum. Sparrows, full-bodied rum. Sparrows, pure sophistication. Discover authentic Vincentian rum. Sparrows, premium rum.
Distilled and blended by St. Vincent Distillers Limited. Please drink responsibly.
Agents, Brewers, Distributions Limited.
On the local scene, investigation launched into Longwall killing. 3 students are recipients of A.B. John Memorial Bursary Award. SVG and Cuba strengthen cooperation in areas of tourism and hospitality. In the region, CARICOM leaders call for an end to Russia-Ukraine war. 2 killed during riots in Suriname. On the international scene, U.S. police capture suspect in killing of 5 neighbors in Texas. And in sports, Barcelona could wrap up La Liga next game. The details to these stories coming up in